This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
All right. Good evening. Welcome to Easthampton City Council meeting for Wednesday, April 6th. The meeting tonight is being recorded and broadcast by Easthampton Media on Charter Channel 193, live streaming on their YouTube channel. All councils or participants in these meetings are gathering hybrid on the executive order by Governor Baker extended to July 15, which allow us to do so. I remind both the member of the City Council and the public to remain mute until recognized by the President. Also, for the members of the public, please remove your camera for the duration of the meeting unless you are participating in public speak time or public hearing. Thank you. This meeting now is called to order. Barbara.
Connie Denham. Here. Salem Derby. Omar Gomez.
Here.
J.P. Kaczynski.
Here.
Tom Peak.
Here.
Brad Riley.
Here.
Dan Rist.
Here.
Rothschild. Here. Owen Zare.
Present.
Please stand up for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we have the minutes from March 16. We'll take a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from March 16. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Barbara?
Connie Denham. Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley. Aye. Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild. Aye. Owen Zare.
Let me unmute. Aye.
Motion passes. Public speak time. This is a time to talk to us. There is no part of the agenda, or is part of the agenda. There is no public hearing. You have 3 minutes. Please come to the podium, or please raise your hand, digital one, and we're going to give you 3 minutes to talk to us. Is anyone from the public want to talk to us? To the podium. Can you please, for the record, your name and address?
Yeah, so my name is Rachel Nicholas. I live at 27 Carrington Road, Montgomery, Massachusetts. I know I'm not a resident of Easthampton, but good evening and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you tonight on behalf of the children of this community. My name is Rachel Nicholas. I have been a teacher in Easthampton Public Schools for over 20 years, mostly at Whitebrook Middle School. I have been a loyal employee of the city that gave me my first teaching job. And have enjoyed, the time that I've spent inspiring young minds. Over this time, I have seen the city of Easthampton change considerably. I have seen one generation of students leave and another enter. I have also been in the district long enough to observe the slow starvation of the Easthampton Public School District. The education provided to schools in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s is barely recognizable today. The enhanced programming of multiple clubs, late buses for after-school activities, swimming, 3D art, and not to mention the support services offered to our students are all long gone. Over this time, the requirements for our schools and students have only increased, as the funding to provide for them has only decreased. As educators, we are always asked to do more, but every year it is with less and less and less. I know many residents have stated that the school department should be satisfied. After all, we have built you a beautiful brand new school building. The truth is that a school is not just a building. In fact,
yes, thank you. All right.
Can you please mute yourself if you are using Google Meet? Thank you.
I would argue, in fact, that the building is perhaps the smallest part of a student's education. The dedicated staff, the communities feel, the actual instruction, and the devotion to every student's success is what makes the school, and is what makes the school. And Easthampton has always had that in spades. In fact, I think if you were to ask a staff member in the district which they would prefer, more staff and services or a new building, I think almost all would choose to the enhanced educational instruction through staff and services rather than the new building. That doesn't mean we are not grateful. We are. We're incredibly grateful for the opportunity that's been provided with us from the new school. It just means that our priority is and always has been the success of your students from this community. In the past, we've been able to pull through and make it work, but years of cuts and downsizing have brought us to the tipping point. The pandemic has exacerbated the trauma and the emotional issues that have always existed in our schools. As a result, students, staff, teachers, and administration are at their breaking point. In fact, I would argue that we should have a serious talk about increasing staffing levels in our schools, not decreasing them. We need more counselors. We need more behavior specialists. We need more support staff, not less. I understand the realities. I too have a budget for my family. I understand the gives and takes of limited finances. I too have recurring payments that I have little or no control over. What happens, however, is that at some point the decisions you make to save money in the short term have long-term consequences. Cutting the school budget may seem like a clear win. What is not clear are the long-term implications of this decision. Several years ago, probably almost 10 now, there was a year that paraprofessionals were cut from kindergarten classes as a budget-saving measure. In fact, this move actually resulted in larger long-term costs because the
30
students
seconds, right?
in that cohort had more behavior issues, more students who qualified for special ed services, and because they were behind, the cohort also had lower test scores. This is just one example of poor long-range planning in terms of cost savings. I'm pleased asking you to accept the proposed budget as it is. I'm begging you to think of the long-term consequences of the budget. I promise you that, in fact, it will only cost the city far more in the long term than you're saving in the short term. Thank you.
Thank you. And I know we have people in Google Meet, they want to talk, but I'm going to allow you first, and then the Google Meet, they will be allowed to talk.
All right, thank you very much. My name is Sean Sheehan. I live at 77 Dayton Street in Springfield, Massachusetts. I'm also the president of the Easthampton Education Association. I also got my first teaching job here in Easthampton back in 1999, so that's 22 years. Proud to be like a science teacher at the high school. And so I know that you are not voting on the budget tonight, but it will be proposed soon by the mayor. Educators are here tonight out of concern for our students. We ask that the City Council support the school committee budget that was passed on Tuesday, March 29th. So at minimum, we ask you to support that, even though it represents a 7.9% increase, which is mostly due to inflation and the increase in need for buses to Mountain View School. With the 7.9% increase, we'll be losing 9 paraeducators, 6 teachers, 2 administrative assistants, 1 custodian, and 1 licensed practicing nurse. Ideally, I would like to see no decreases in staffing because our students thrive in smaller classes and educators are trying to meet the diverse needs of learners and address any deficiencies caused by remote learning during the pandemic, and you heard that earlier. One of the most important jobs of any municipality is to provide the services to educate our next generation. And so, all staff, including our paraeducators, are vital to the operation of our schools. Many of our special education students rely on these professionals to make the curriculum more accessible through one-on-one instruction or additional tutoring. They help manage student behavior, provide supervision at recess, lunch, and for a teacher that gets pulled for a meeting. Without paraeducators, our schools would not be able to function because we are already understaffed. We also need custodians to keep our brand new buildings in top condition, nurses to address the health needs of our kids during a pandemic, and administrative assistants to make sure transcripts are sent to colleges and student schedules are complete and school financial records are up to date. Our budget cannot survive any more cuts. The voters care about education because they agreed for their property taxes to go up in building Mountain View School and Easthampton High School. Our buildings don't educate kids, but our staff does an amazing job, and they've been doing an amazing job during the pandemic. I'll also remind the counselors that the Easthampton voter overwhelmingly voted no on question 2 back in 2016. This community had one of the highest percentages of no to expansion of our charter schools. So your community members care about education. I thank the community for their support of public education, and it is the reason why I'm proud to teach in this city. We request that you accept the school committee's budget that was voted on last week. And I'm going to also speak personally. I would like you folks to do an investigation on our mayor because she said something racist at a We the People when she was a guest judge at We the People. And it's all over Facebook, it's all over social media. She needs to be held accountable. So I ask you to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public?
Hello, good evening. My name is Eric Lokensgaard. I live at 96 Florence Road, and I just wanted to speak tonight to, I don't have words prepared. I'm underslept, so if I speak garbled, please excuse me. Anyhow, I just want to acknowledge some of the stresses that both teachers and students are under right now after pandemic learning. And it's true, you know, what Mr. Sheehan said about not having enough paraprofessionals currently. Additionally, the nurse frequently has to visit multiple buildings and is unavailable for students. Well, I had a student today who had a bad headache, and she was unable to get, you know, ibuprofen to address her really bad headache, and she couldn't focus on her studies. So I just want to acknowledge, can you still hear me if I stand up properly? Okay. I just want to say that this is really not the time to reduce staffing. I understand that there are a lot of budgetary constraints and a lot of investment has been made with taxpayer dollars to pay for a new building, which is, again, like, you know, another teacher acknowledged, excellent and a wonderful investment. I teach personal finance, and one of the quotes that I had on my Zoom meeting waiting room was, you know, it was a Warren Buffett quote about how somebody is sitting in the shade today because somebody planted a tree years ago. And so I just want to connect that analogy with staff. Staff are the living, like the sap of the tree. We have an amazing facility, but it takes that like living sap to put out leaves and you know, collect energy from the sun. I haven't thought this metaphor through. I'm just speaking on my feet here. But we need staff to keep the schools running. We need nurses. We need paraprofessionals. The students need extra help. Like, just even students that didn't need so much support now. Like, I feel like I teach math and they're catching up. They have a lot that they missed because there's only so much that you can teach, like geometry through Zoom. It's very difficult. And speaking as a current graduate student who's taking classes on Zoom, it's grueling to take classes one day out of every week on Zoom, and then to submit students to that. Like, I just really feel for what they went through. I feel for what families went through, having to try to do childcare, and just, it was totally unsustainable. And students, like, they need some extra support now. They don't need support taken away. So thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It is 6:15, so we always can stay late. We can always start early.
Well, I'm not here to talk about education, except that I'm a past educator. My name is Marvin Ward, and I live across the street, kitty corner, in 15 College Street in apartment 413. And at the moment, I'm actually working in the Easthampton High School with the We the People teams who are going to Washington to compete. And so I was quite interested in watching the Benjamin Franklin series by Ken Burns, who, by the way, is a graduate of Hampshire College in Amherst. And the second half of it yesterday evening dealt with the creation or writing of the Constitution. Unfortunately, I had so much noise coming through my windows, and that's why I'm here, that there were part of it I couldn't hear, even though my windows were not open. I'm here because I think that this city needs a noise ordinance, and I know that it doesn't have one. I live on Cottage Street. That's a state highway that people soar down, even though there are speed limits, and that's something else I would like to see better supervised and maintained. But the redoing of Union Street will help slow people down, as did the redoing of Cottage Street, in which I had a hand, because I'm a member of the Planning Commission's Transportation Committee and have been since 2006, the PBPC. So I know what's going into this to try and make people slow down. But I don't know much about noise ordinances. I've never lived anywhere where I even had to look at one, because I've lived in 3 different states, 3 altogether, 2 others besides this, in multiple locations in those states, New York and North Carolina, and in 2 other countries, Canada and France. And I have never lived anywhere where I felt that the people who were driving around could disrespect the people's houses that they're going by, as I feel here. And I just don't like it. Thank you. I'll help with the committee and help figure out what's the best ordinance, but I know nothing about that.
Thank you. Thank you, Marvin.
Thank you.
Patricia from Google Meet.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, thank you for calling on me. I'm also not here to speak about education, but after hearing those teachers speak, I do just have to add that I'm in 100% agreement with everything the teachers said. With the pandemic, it is not a time to be cutting staff, it's a time to be adding support. And I just want to thank those teachers for taking time to come out tonight and advocate for their students. That was wonderful. But I'm actually here to talk about, well, let me back up. My name is Patty Benson. I live at 117 Park Street. I'm here to voice my support for establishing a dog park in Easthampton. I'm part of a community group called the Friends of the Easthampton Dog Park. Our goal is to identify an appropriate site for a dog park in Easthampton, and then to get a grant from the Stanton Foundation. And this foundation will pay 90% of the construction, capped at a limit of $225,000. So I love the town of Easthampton, and when I hear of an idea that promotes green space, a new park, and a way to build community, I will definitely support it. And when I hear that a grant is available to establish a new outdoor facility with great benefit for our residents and little cost to our residents, then I definitely support it. I think this is a wonderful, doable idea, and I hope the City Council will support it too. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa?
Thank you very much. My name is Lisa Downing, and I live at 23 Beechwood Avenue, and I'm the Vice President of the Friends of Easthampton Dog Park, the organization Patty just spoke of. I got involved because I believe that a dog park will be a great enhancement for the city. Dog parks are becoming a common feature for many cities to offer, including Chicopee, Agawam, Westfield, Holyoke, Granby, Greenfield, Amherst, Ludlow, and South Hadley. In fact, in South Hadley, the dog park is now their most popular park of any kind. Dog parks provide a safe way for dogs to exercise and socialize, as well as their human companions. They bring equity to dog ownership for people who live in apartments and condos, as well as give elderly and disabled people a way to give their dogs enough exercise. There is currently a grant that will pay up to 90% of the park's hard construction costs, but it requires that it be placed on city property and have the support of the city. The Friends of Easthampton Dog Park have been building our base of support, and we will be holding our first public fundraiser on May 14th. We are prepared to fundraise to cover the annual costs of running a future dog park that we currently estimate to be around $7,000. So this project could be a huge quality of life enhancement for dog owners in our community with very little expense for taxpayers. I know the mayor has other concerns around liability and safety. The Stanton Foundation requires that safety considerations be built into our design by things like offering a fenced-in space for dogs to be unleashed and releashed as they enter and exit the park, to provide fresh water so that germs aren't spread, and to have areas for small dogs and large dogs to keep the playtime safe. While I agree that there is risk and things to be sorted out, I don't see anything that is insurmountable. We are committed to working with the city to find the right location, ensuring best practices, and bringing a first-class dog park to our community. I want to thank Councilor Zaret and Councilor Gomez for their public support of this project, and I come today asking for you to join your colleagues in supporting this public project. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Jamie?
Hello, thank you for recognizing me. Appreciate the time. My name is Jamie Paquette. I live at 70 Briggs Street in Easthampton. I'm here tonight in my capacity as the chair of the city's Energy Advisory Committee. That's kind of an important thing. So we, as a piece of new business that you'll see on the agenda for later, have brought to the council the possibility of rolling out a community electricity aggregation program for the city of Easthampton. This is something that over 160 other municipalities in Massachusetts have done. It is a low cost, low overhead, maybe no cost to the city way to provide electricity in bulk for residents and businesses with a goal of helping to control costs, provide stable rates, and also increase the amount of renewable energy that we're allowed to use and to provide for energy users within the city. We have worked a lot internally as well as with some external consultants and spoken with the mayor about this, who has been generally supportive, as well as members of the council. We're hoping that there's going to be a resolution that passed that will allow this to move forward so that this is a program that we could roll out. Again, there's benefits to the city are competitive and stable rates, renewable energy, and so it's a real tangible way for the city to take steps to mitigate climate change, to promote renewable energy, to promote a cleaner energy future for the Commonwealth, for the United States, and for the world. It's a really simple, easy step that we can take that would allow that to happen. So I hope that the council will find a way to support this, to move it forward. We'll be happy to answer any questions about that along the way. I also just wanted to speak real quick. I appreciate the fact that we still offer hybrid meetings. I know it's an equity thing for a lot of people. For me personally, as a single parent, it's allowed me to be here tonight, and it would have been a lot more complicated for me otherwise. So I do appreciate that the city is making those accommodations for people.
Thank you. Thank you. Marie?
Muted.
You muted. No.
Or no microphone.
There's no microphone.
Something's wrong with their mic, maybe?
Yeah.
Is she calling? Can someone give her the number to call in?
Yeah. All right, let's do Joanne while figure it out with Marie.
Thank you very much. My camera is not working, but my name is Joan Kurtz. I'm the president of the Friends of the Easthampton Dog Park. I spoke at the last council meeting, but I'm here tonight to read a letter from one of our members who was unable to attend. Her name is Jane Jones at 80 Garfield Avenue, and this is what she wrote. Dear councilors, as a lifelong Easthampton resident and a dog owner, I've watched our city grow, including its dog population. I believe a dog park would be a valuable practical asset for our city's residents, as the need is evident. Having one could help put an end to Nonotuck Park from being used as a virtual dog park. Facebook is full of people complaining about dog waste, dog fights, and confrontation with people and their unleashed dogs. Taxpayers have a right to be safe in the park, and clearly they don't, myself included. Please consider supporting this worthwhile project. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
And I just have one thing I would like to add is that our fundraiser is Saturday, May 21st, with a rain date of Sunday, May 22nd. It's going to be held in the parking lot of the Dollar General store on Union Street, adjacent to the Manhan Trail and across from Tandem Bagels. More information will be forthcoming, so please save the date, and I hope to see a lot of you there. Thank you.
Thank you. John is out of the meeting, so. I mean, Marie is out of the meeting.
Looks like she just left.
Okay.
So does 6:15.
Yep.
I move that we open the public hearing.
Point of information, Mr. President.
I'm sorry?
A point of information, if Marie comes back, I would like to recommend we let her speak. She may be trying to dial back in.
I will go to let her talk at the next meeting because we have a lot of stuff in our agenda. So she's always welcome to come to our next meeting or send us an email or call us. My email is hgomez@easthamptonma.gov. My cell phone is 413-977-2676. I don't think we should move the public speak time after we keep working on the agenda.
Motion and a second. Yep.
We have a motion and a second to open public hearings. Barbara?
Who seconded? Okay. Salem Derby?
Aye.
Omar Gomez?
Aye.
J.P. Kaczynski?
Aye.
Tom Peak?
Aye.
Brad Riley? Dan Rist?
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild?
Aye.
Owen Zarrett?
Yes.
Connie Denham? Aye.
Councilor, motion passes. Councilor Rist.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have a number of items under finance. The first item is an interdepartmental transfer of $3,000. This is a no-brainer. We have a lot of old computers and technical equipment. We've done a lot of upgrades in our city, and this equipment must be disposed of properly. The Finance Committee approved this 3-0. It is something that has to be done and properly done. So that's about all there is to it. The mayor's not here. She's the one who put it in, but I think it's fine.
Yeah, Mayor was here. Let me.
Is anybody, well, it's up to you, Mayor.
Can you please continue the meeting? I need to do a few things here.
Yeah.
Anybody want to?
Any other questions?
Any questions from councilors? Anybody from the public?
Anybody from the public? Okay. Anybody from Google Meets?
Seeing none, Councilor Rist.
I make a motion that the full council approve an interdepartmental transfer. The amount requested is $3,000 to be transferred from the reserve fund, $3,000 to be transferred to recycling, $3,000 for the purpose of funding the disposal of stockpile of obsolete and non-functioning computers, monitors, radio equipment, and associated batteries. This stockpile is a result of multiple communication and technology upgrades that have been completed over the last several years at City Hall and the Public Safety Complex. These items must be securely and properly disposed of.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to have an interdepartmental transfer of $3,000 for computer, radio, and battery recycling. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Omar Gomez?
Aye.
J.P. Kaczynski?
Aye.
Tom Peak?
Aye.
Brad Riley?
Aye.
Dan Rist?
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild?
Aye.
Owen Zarrett?
Yes.
Connie Denham? Aye. Salem Derby?
Aye.
Motion passes.
The next is a supplemental appropriation from the Community Preservation Act. As chair of the CPA committee, I must say we were very excited about the possibility of this acquisition. There is a piece of land on Ward Avenue that's a bramble of trees and a hill that would allow the rail trail to connect to Ward Avenue and then connect to the newly funded Safe Routes to School project that goes up Park Street right to the school. This will allow anybody riding or walking from all the way down by New City and the end of our city all the way to the school without having to move on city streets. This acquisition was approved by the Community Preservation Act, the CPA Committee unanimously and approved by the Finance Committee 3-0. We will be asking for continuance this evening because Planner Bagg has some more work to do on it, but I'll allow, if Planner Bagg does want to make a presentation, Mr. President?
Yes, Planner Bagg.
Thanks, everybody. It's great to be back. I just wanted to show a couple images and just say a couple words about the project, and then ultimately, I think the request would be to continue your public hearing till is it May 18th, your second meeting in May?
Yep. Councilor Rist?
4 months. That's a whole month. You need a whole month.
Yeah. So part of what's going on. So we, as a city, to be talking to a property owner about potentially trying to acquire a piece of land takes actually quite a bit of effort and timing, and this is a bit of a case of getting to hurry up and wait, where we started this discussion in November, and then through the CPA process, that was 2 meetings, and then it ended up here for the appropriation to acquire the parcel. And I think just at this time, we're just asking for a little bit, 4 extra weeks to just continue some dialogue with the property owner. There are some moving parts, and so the 2 main moving parts are Mass DOT is involved with our project, as Councilor Riss introduced. It's the larger portion is going to be funded through the Safe Routes to School program, and we are working with them to get what's called a 10% design, and that will inform this location. And we just want to make sure that we see some glimpse of that 10% design before we push forward with trying to acquire land. The CPA committee was pretty clear that acquiring this parcel regardless is really important because it creates an opportunity for us to make this connection from the rail trail to Park Street. But I think the other moving part is the property owner, and so we want to have some more dialogue with the property owner. The item, one of the main items in consideration is there might be an option to not necessarily acquire the whole property, but to acquire a permanent easement that would go over the path location. And because we don't have the Mass DOT, even the preliminary plan, we don't know where the location would be. So we are asking for a little bit more time. But this is the view of the rail trail. You can see the Park Street Bridge, and this is the targeted area. And if this map is changing view, the idea is to create a ramp. This would be a 10-foot wide path. That would be at an accessible grade, so it would be gradually going up the hill, and it would join Park Street. This is a really important part of the overall project, but it was determined by CPA that trying to acquire either the whole property or the permanent easement area would be really important for the city, with or without the larger project, just because this will be a route to the school as the new students arrive there. And then just a quick overview map briefly on the larger project, because this is such an important project for the city. This is a great opportunity to just show the overview. So the larger project would connect from the rail trail at Ward Ave and Park and go all the way up the side of Park Street to the new school. So we were awarded $1.8 million from Safe Routes, and even in late May, I will be back, and we don't know if we'll be ready at that point, but we should be a little bit closer to having more information at that point. So this was just an opportunity to kind of give an introduction and then request that the hearing be continued.
Any councilors have any questions now? Oh, we're going to continue it, but Councilor Zarek.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is just for my own clarification, potentially the councilors and the public. This request is to make money available if we acquire this parcel. In other words, we are not voting on acquisition of property, we are voting on appropriation to make money, to have the money if we then go through the process of acquiring this land. Is that correct?
That is very true, yes. And kind of to go back to the beginning, is as a city, and especially as your planning department, we need to make sure that we have this vote of the funds before we can really discuss in detail the idea of acquiring a parcel, because we can't really talk about acquiring it unless we kind of have some certainty that the funds are available. And so that's a 3-step process, and we're in the last leg.
Thank you.
Councilor Rist?
Councilor Zaret is referring to the fact that the city council will have approval process over an easement or the purchase of real property. So there's another vote we'll take once that becomes appropriate.
Any other councilor? Anyone from the public have a comment or question? Seeing none, Councilor
I'm going
Rist?
to make a motion. I just want to make sure the date that is requested is May 18th.
Yes, that's
That
correct.
is the meeting? Okay. And I move that the city council continue this public hearing on the CPA funds for 17 Ward Avenue until May 18th.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to continuing the discussion of this appropriation for May 18 at 6:15. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye. Councilor Rist?
Yes, we have a number of appropriations under the Department of Public Works. They're fairly straightforward. The first is $39,354 to make pedestrian safety improvements on Holyoke Streets at the intersections of East Green and Allen Streets. Greg Nuttleman is here. He can explain it further. Greg, you might as well stay at the podium because we have a bunch of these. The Finance Committee approved this 3-0. This is an incredible improvement. Line up with the Complete Streets grant application that's coming forward. Go ahead, Greg. I'm sorry.
So Holyoke Street, the two crossings there present some kind of unique challenges similar to what we're trying to solve with Main and South Street, where the sidewalk along East Green Street, the sidewalk's been overtaken over the years and it is really non-existent, where there's no area of refuge to just put in a general crosswalk. And so we've had to enlist a design firm to do some survey and design work, and I'm hoping to have some concepts in the next few weeks for what their recommended improvements are.
Any councilor have any question? Councilor Peak?
Yeah, just as the Precinct 3 City Councilor, I would just say this is an issue of major constituent concern. I happen to live 2 parcels down from this sidewalk, and I think most of the near-death experiences I have had in my time in Easthampton are in some way related to that crosswalk. There's a good deal of people who live on the non-sidewalk side of Holyoke Street, and they have these 2 options for how to get across the street, and so I don't want to belabor this because this seems very uncontroversial, but I do just feel that I need to say that this is I've received over the years a number of constituent complaints about traffic safety here, so I'm very, very much in favor of this.
Thank you. Any other councilor? Anyone from the public have any comment or question? Seeing none, Councilor Rist?
I move that the full council approve a supplemental appropriation. The amount requested is $39,354 to be transferred from cannabis stabilization, $39,354 to be transferred to FY22 professional service pedestrian safety, $39,354. For the purpose of being in conjunction with the Planning Department, the Department of Public Works is working to make pedestrian safety improvements on Holyoke Street at the intersections with East Green and Allen Streets. In order for upgrades or improvements to take place at these intersections, design and survey work must be completed.
Second.
This appropriation will fund completion of the necessary survey design to move forward with pedestrian safety improvements at these locations.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for supplemental appropriation of $39,354 for pedestrian safety improvement on Holyoke Street. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Connie Denham. Aye. Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Yes.
Motion passes. Councilor Rist?
The next appropriation is $10,000 for revenue electric bike revolving funds and charging stations. This was put in by Greg Nuttleman, but also from our conservation agent, Cassie Traggart, who's here and would like to speak to it, Mr. President.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, my name is Cassie Traggart. I'm the conservation agent. I wanted to make myself available if anyone had any further questions about this request. This request is to provide funding for the chargers to pay for the electrical costs associated with them through the rest of the fiscal year. If people have questions about that, I'm happy to go into further detail, but essentially, I think that the main thing is this is something that will help make these available to the public, and it's a really strong action that is a good response to the climate emergency resolution the City Council made, and it's something that, EV chargers and electric vehicles it's kind of in its relative infancy and will become more of a thing in the future. So it's definitely, I think, a good idea for the city to support this service for the public.
Any councilor have any question or comment? Councilor Rist?
Just, I don't know if it's through you, but this also pays for our share of membership with Valley Bike Share, which is also part of the electric services we're providing the city.
That's correct, yeah. There's it's supporting that service as well through the bikes, as well as the electric vehicle chargers.
Councilor Kwasinski?
Thank you, Mr. President. I certainly would endorse the approval of this measure. I did recall that when Mr. Bagg spoke about this the last time, I thought he was saying that the program would be self-funding, and we'd have more information on that self-funding. That is, the charging station collection of fees would support the usage of electricity. Do we have any update on that information?
Yeah, I can speak to that. So the way that the chargers, the billing from Eversource works when the electricity is used by these vehicles is that there is a rate plan. It's rate G0. And that plan, there is a per kilowatt hour charge. So when you plug in your car, it charges you just for the straight electricity that you use. But also, when it goes over 2 kilowatt hours, it triggers something called a demand charge, which the feeing structure through ChargePoint, which is the program that I would set a fee for users, there isn't a way to set it so that it would be a one-to-one cost. It's a much higher cost because of that demand charge. And so there currently isn't a way to make it so that when someone plugs in their vehicle, they are being charged the same amount that the city is being charged. I've researched a number of possible options to try to create that one-to-one situation. One option would be to throttle the machines so that they never reach that demand charge trigger point, but they would work so slowly that people would likely think they were broken, especially if you consider that if there were all the chargers were simultaneously being used, it'd be really a small amount of energy going to each vehicle. Another option would be to get a new rate plan, potentially through Eversource. They don't have one that's a good option for the city right now. There are other options, things like it would something that you could use only at night, or it's kind of complicated, but there isn't one that makes them available all the time like they are right now. And so the hope is that in the future, Easthampton isn't alone in having this issue of it. They don't pay for themselves, so to speak, through any fee structure. And so the hope is that in the future, Eversource will create a new rate plan, maybe through, pressure from the state or federal regulations that could come down that could change that, but it just doesn't exist right now. They aren't free right now. There is a charging fee associated with them. It's 20, I believe, let me pull it up exactly, but it is 25 cents per kilowatt hour. So that accommodates it so that it's a fair charging rate based off of how your vehicle works. So it's per kilowatt hour, and then once your vehicle is charged, you're charged $2.50 to be occupying the space. So it encourages you just to move out of the space so that someone else can use it. But, yeah.
Just a quick question. Is it possible to raise the fee a flat charge of some sort?
Yeah, there's a lot of options through the ChargePoint program of fees that we could set for it. We had it originally set as a flat $2 per hour fee, But we got some comments from residents asking that it could be by kilowatt hour so that it would accommodate different types of vehicles that charge. It's a little more fair, if that makes sense. Some vehicles are more efficient at pulling energy than others, and this is a little more nuanced, I guess, in terms of how the different vehicles pull energy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Councilor Rist?
I appreciate Councilor Kwasinski's concern for our budget and our revenue, but frankly, this council would love them to be free. We need to support climate change programs such as this. It's not a lot of money in our budget, and I wish we could build more EV charging stations and encourage more electric vehicle usage. So I respectfully disagree with the councilor. I think worrying about revenue from these and making them pay for themselves is not the point of trying to help with climate change. I appreciate the budget concerns, but at this point, this is my opinion. I think we should be moving toward less charges rather than more.
Thank you, Councilor Rist. Any other councilors? Councilor Sarrett?
Thank you, Mr. President. You could tell me if this is straying off of the subject of discussion, but in regard to the price for the EV chargers to fuel cars, there was an initial discussion as well about making these stations a little bit more self-sustainable and sustain energy sustainability as well in regard to using some form of solar storage for the chargers. And I wonder if that's been considered, or if you feel that question's out of order as it pertains to this appropriation, Mr. President.
I think you want to answer?
I think it's an interesting idea. I don't know how well I can speak to it at this time, but I do think that's a really interesting idea. I know energy storage is a huge question going forward for renewable resources. So, yeah, I think it's something to look into. These EV chargers and having this kind of available, I think there's a lot more to come with these. So I think it's something good to have on the radar like that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councilors? Councilor Rothschild?
Yes. I have a question about the Valley Bike Share program. I seem to remember there was special incentives for different special populations, different memberships, and I was wondering if you, just in terms of the value that it brings to our residents, are you familiar with those and if they still exist?
Unfortunately, I'm not as familiar with the Valley Bike Share program, the inner workings of that. I deal more with the EV chargers, unfortunately, but yeah.
Because I seem to remember there was a senior citizen price, and it's just helpful when talking about things that we're spending money on in the city of what value it brings to our residents. So
yeah,
I can look it up as well.
I will say that the city doesn't deal with the revenue side of it for the Valley Bikes, I think, if that's correct.
No, we don't deal with the revenue, but we get the value of the money that we put out to have the membership. Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone from the public have any question or comments? Seeing none, Councilor Rist?
I will move that the full council approve a supplemental appropriation for $10,000 to be transferred from free cash, $10,000 to be transferred to the Revenue Electric Bike Revolving Account, $8,000, and the Revenue EV Charging and Bike Department Revolving Account, $2,000. This appropriation will fund the continued operation of electric vehicle charging and Valley Bike Share locations at multiple locations in the city. Costs associated with this operation of these stations include utility bills, maintenance, and membership agreements.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for a supplemental appropriation of $10,000 for funding of the EV charging stations and Valley Bike Share program. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Ann Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Connie Denham. Aye. Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez. JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Motion passes. Councilor Rist?
The next item is an enterprise retained earnings amount, $25,000. We have to pay for a permit so we can operate our wastewater treatment plant. I don't encourage the council to deny this.
That's a good idea.
Greg.
Mr. Nodeman?
We do need the plant to operate. It would be a bad day if I was standing here talking about it not operating. So, what we're dealing with that is some just changes to our National Pollution Discharge Elimination System permit, and we just need a little help navigating through those changes and setting up a few things to deal with just EPA regulatory changes. So we're just enlisting the help of a consultant to wade through some of the changes they're making. And one thing you'll see is a link on the city website to notify residents of a sanitary sewer overflow. That's just one of the kind of nuances of the regulatory changes that we're dealing with. So.
Any councilor have any question or comment? Seeing none. Anyone from the public have any question or comment? Seeing none, Councilor Rest.
I move that the full council approve a supplemental appropriation of $25,000 to be transferred from enterprise retained earnings, $25,000 to be transferred to the fiscal year 22 NPDES permit compliance. The Department of Public Works needs to enlist consulting services to assist in compliance with the changes to our wastewater treatment National Pollution Discharge Elimination System permit. This appropriation will also fund compliance assistance with new Mass DEP regulations regarding public notification in the event of a sanitary sewer overflow.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the supplemental appropriation of $25,000 for consulting services for NPDES permit compliance. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Barbara?
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild. Aye. Owen Zarrett.
Yes.
Connie Denham.
Enthusiastically, aye.
Salem Derby. Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Motion passes. Councilor Rest.
The next is a $32,500 enterprise retained earnings request also for the wastewater treatment plant. We need a structural evaluation of the Headworks building, and I'll let Greg explain this request as well.
Mr. Nutterman.
So kind of what you're seeing here, and even in the next appropriation that you're going to hear about, is we did the Integrated Water Resource Management Plan, wrapped that up in 2018-19, and now what that did is kind of categorize investments we need to make in the water and sewer infrastructure and stormwater infrastructure for the city. Well, the next step in any of those priorities is design and bringing the recommended improvements to fruition. So really what we're doing here is we've got some issues that were identified in the Headworks building at the wastewater treatment plant that need to be looked at in more detail than they were in the IWRMP for recommendations to be made for the proper repairs to be performed. And there's been some code regulatory changes in the amount of chemical we can store without fire suppression at the wastewater treatment plant. And we need to look at, can we store X amount of this chemical or X amount of that chemical without fire suppression, or do we do it another way? So we're just working on moving things from the Integrated Water Resource Management Plan to reality.
Any councilor have any question or comment? Councilor Zarrett.
Thank you, Mr. President. Director Nuttleman, thank you. I ask this all the time just for clarification. So my inference from your description is that this is a new item that's come up and is not related to the tie and bond study for needs for wastewater and water upgrades. Is that?
It's in the Integrated Water Resource Management Plan.
Okay.
As one of the many priorities. And what we do, myself and our great team of people at Public Works, we look through what we need to get to, prioritize the things that need to happen. And we're dealing with some trouble with the Headworks, with the roof, and we need it. That has kind of moved up, and it's in the priorities for the plant. So,
any other councilors? Seeing none, anyone from the public have any question or comment? Seeing none, Councilor Rest.
I move that the full council approve a supplemental appropriation of $32,500 from enterprise retained earnings, $32,500, to be transferred to the fiscal year 22 professional service Headworks structural account, $32,500. This appropriation will fund structural evaluation of the wastewater treatment plant Headworks building and evaluation of fire code compliance options to safely store sodium hypochlorite at the wastewater treatment plant. Attending to these issues was noted as a priority in the 2018 Integrated Water Resources Management Plan.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve $32,500 for the structural evaluation. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski. Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Motion passes. Councilor Rist?
The next, as Director Nettleman alluded to, is another pumping station repair for the wastewater treatment plant, $58,000. You want to go into that, please?
So
Director?
the Lovefield Street pump station is one of our largest stations in the city. It's located right off the rail trail at the intersection of Lovefield and O'Neill Streets there. It's built in 1972. Now it's 50 years old. And it's starting to show its age. We can't perform a large rehab on that station without a bypass because it takes so much flow. So we need to have the capability to pump around that station, which we don't currently have. So what we're working on designing in this appropriation is that bypass and some repairs to the air relief valves in the building. So.
Any councilor have any comment or question? Seeing none, anyone from the public have any comment or questions? Seeing none, Councilor Rist?
I move that the full council approve a supplemental appropriation. The amount is $58,000 to be transferred from enterprise retained earnings, $58,000 to be transferred to FY22 pump station improvements, $58,000. This appropriation will fund the design of repairs and upgrades at the Lovefield Street wastewater pumping station. This design will include plans for replacement of the discharge piping air release valve and development of a bypass pumping connection to allow for larger repairs to be completed on this station in the future.
Second. We have a motion and a second for a supplemental appropriation of $58,000 for repairs upgrade at the Lovefield Street wastewater and pumping station. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Connie Denham. Aye. Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski. Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Motion passes. Councilor Rist?
The next is a $108,000 appropriation for a new dump truck for the Department of Public Works. Director Nettleman.
Mr. Nettleman?
Like everyone in this room, your vehicles, they wear out in time, right? So our trucks are subjected to some pretty harsh service depending on, the severity of the winter, or a lot of the work they go through is not, it's tough on the truck. So we we really should be swapping them out more often than we are, but this one is truck 61. We got so many, I can't remember them all, but truck 61, it's a 2008 Ford F450. It's hit 100,000 miles. We've been warned by our supplier that we're talking 12 to 18 months before a new truck can be delivered. So I think I can get one more winter out of that plowing. That's one of our frontline plow trucks. So I just don't want to. The longer we wait, the more expensive vehicles seem to be getting. We were buying, I had looked into purchasing this truck a few years ago, but kind of right as the pandemic was hitting, and we weren't comfortable putting an appropriation forward at that point. However, the truck was closer to $80,000 at that point in time. And truth be told, it may come in lower than the $108,000 that we're asking for. We need to account for so many different variables that really weren't problems 3 or 4 years ago. So.
Any councilor have any comment or questions? Seeing none, I just have one. When we get that one, are we going to keep the old one too, or are we going to do something with that one?
The old one will move more into a backup role. We'll probably put a different style body on it and use it for different things. In DPW, we've got a couple trucks from, I think one of them's even like early 1990s, and that one will come completely out of service, and this one will go into a role like that So.
Thank you. Anyone from the public have any comment or questions? Seeing none, Barbara? Sorry, Rist first.
I move that the full council approve a supplemental appropriation for $108,188 to be transferred from free cash, $108,188, to be transferred to the fiscal year 22 F550 dump truck, $108,188. This appropriation will fund the replacement of Highway Division Truck 61. This vehicle is a 2008 Ford F450 with approximately 100,000 miles. We need to begin phasing this truck out of snow and daily operations. It could take up to 18 months before this replacement vehicle can be delivered due to supply chain issues.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the supplemental appropriation of $108,000 for the replacement of the dump truck, Highway Division. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara.
Connie Denham. Aye. Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zarek.
Yes.
Motion passes. Councilor Rist.
Another Water Division issue is the Hendrick Street Water Treatment Facility. We have a need for repairs there. I'll ask Director Nuttleman to explain.
Mr. Nuttleman.
So all of the pumps and communication equipment on Hendrick Street were installed in the mid-1990s. I believe the plant went online in 1996. And now that they've hit their 25, 30-year lifespan, we just need to start doing some more intense preventative maintenance. We've had some trouble with the fiber optic communication lines there between there's two sources. There's the low head pump station and the Pines well. Those are both controlled. I could go into it. I could go about the water stuff for hours, but they're both, it's all controlled by tank levels and just the automation of the water system. But we've had quite a bit of trouble with the fiber optic lines between the buildings, and those have had to be replaced. And in that, we've noticed some diminished capacity of the 3 low head pumps that pull from the Hendrick Street well field. And we need to pull those one at a time to see what's going on with them and have them kind of rehabbed and get them back in service. So.
Any councilor have any questions? Councilor Sarek?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just again, Greg, Director Nuttleman, same as before. I remember the intricate presentation about our whole pump system in the city. I remember discussing each one of those pumps during the time bond presentation. I'm assuming this was, again, one of the ones that we anticipated. Then this is an anticipated repair that's now coming due. Is that fair to say?
Without the report, the whole IWRMP in front of me that has looked at kind of larger source issues, whether it be the Nonotuck well or the direction the city decides to take with Maloney well or any of our other sources. But what we're trying to do now is really more proactive, take a more proactive approach to maintaining those pumps. And a few years ago, we weren't really seeing capacity issues with them, but we're starting to.
Thank you. Another councilor? Anyone from the public have any comment or question? Seeing none, Councilor Rist.
I move that the full council approve a supplemental appropriation. The amount requested is $120,000 to be transferred from enterprise retained earnings, $120,000 to be transferred to the fiscal year 22 Lowhead and Pines pump removal account, $120,000. For the following purpose, pumps at the Hendrick Street Water Treatment Facility need to be removed, inspected, and repaired as necessary. New mechanical seals need to be installed once the pumps are returned to service, and communication systems between the Hendrick Street Treatment Facility and the remote locations need to be updated.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the supplementary appropriation of $120,000 for pump inspection repair at the Hendrick Street Water Treatment Facility. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zarek.
Yes.
Connie Denham. Aye.
Motion passes. Councilor Rist.
The next item is $150,000. We have a very valuable vacuum flush combination truck that currently sits in weather, and the DPW would like to extend their garage to protect it. By doing so, we extend the service life of this vehicle, and I imagine they're very expensive to replace, so this is a proactive measure.
Yeah, that truck, and I believe it was FY18 we bought it, was $335,000. I wouldn't want to price one today. glad we don't have to. We're doing the best we can to take care of the one we have, and that's what this appropriation is for. Another thing it'll help with is response time when there is a sewer emergency. Right now, in the cold weather months, the truck is parked on Hendrick Street at the water department because that is the only bay in DPW that it would physically fit inside of. We can't fill it there. It leads to a lot of time that could be otherwise allocated to going back and forth and we have to bring it to Gosselin Drive, the wastewater treatment plant, to fill it. And, it'll be having the addition on the garage at the sewer department will allow it to be stored where the staff is, where we can. It'll be stored indoors year round, in a heated garage, and then there is a fill port there for us to be able to fill it up. So save a lot of time.
Any councilors have any comment or question? Councilor Sarrett.
Thank you, Mr. President. Director Nunnelin, will this just create a garage bay? Are there any other amenities to your department that will be created by adding this on?
All we're doing is adding on to an existing bay. That's the most cost-effective way to get the truck out of the weather year-round. It has a lot of rubber fittings on it, and the sun just is really, really harsh on some of the hoses and things, and getting it inside will really extend the life of it. I don't want to be back in front of you guys in my career for a new back truck, if we can get the time out of it. So.
Any other questions from the councilors? Seeing none, anyone from the public have any comment or questions? Seeing none, Councilor Rest.
I move that the full council approve a supplemental appropriation of $150,000 to be transferred from enterprise retained earnings, $150,000 to be transferred to the FY22 combo truck storage account, $150,000. This appropriation will fund an addition to the sewer division garage. This addition will allow for proper storage and an extended service life of the sewer division's vacuum flush combination truck. It will also allow for reduced response time during sewer system emergencies.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the supplemental appropriation of $150,000 to fund an addition to the sewer division garage. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild. Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Connie Denham. Salem Derby.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Mr. President, I move the public hearings be closed.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close the public hearings. Barbara?
Connie Denham. Aye. Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski. You say yes? Tom
Aye.
Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild. Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Motion passes. Public hearings officially closed. Communication for elected officials, boards, and committee. Any councilor have anything? Councilor Sarrett?
Just a couple, brief-ish statements, Mr. President. So I just wanted to welcome everyone back here. It's really good to be in chambers with all of you. Welcome to the public. Thank you for everyone who showed up for public speak. Certainly, while we were able to continue that on Zoom, it's really wonderful to see members of the public at the lectern again. Certainly, thank you to the advocates for the school budget, as well as people who spoke on the dog park. And interesting to hear some other suggestions about noise in our city. Last time we were here, we had different officers presiding, and I was sitting over there. So it's interesting. I'm a little disoriented, but I'm getting used to everything. Welcome to our new counselors who are in chamber.
Point of order. I have a question. I feel like this was campaigning. I just don't understand the capacity. We all have things to say to the
I will take the point of
general
order.
public.
Councilor Sarrett, can you just do communications, please?
Sure. I'm sure. I just wanted to welcome everyone back. Thank you, everyone, for helping us through the pandemic. Remember that there's an auction coming up at Riverside, as well as remember the what's going on across the world right now in the Ukraine. We see city councilors there who are carrying around anti-tank weapons instead of sitting here deliberating what is appropriate speech. I'm sure all of you read about what happened in the city of Bucha this week, the war crimes there, as well as the ongoing destruction of the city of Mariupol, millions and millions of people displaced from their homes. So continue to pray for the Ukrainian people. And thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Sarek. Any other councilors? Seeing none, Mayor's communication. Mayor, Madam Mayor, are you here, right?
I am. Thank you, President Gomez. I have just a quick thing to share. Folks might have seen today that Attorney General Maura Healey announced the $26 billion settlement against opioid distributors and Johnson & Johnson for making opioids. Of that money, the state of Massachusetts will receive $525 million. And of that money, $210 million go directly to cities and towns like Easthampton. Easthampton's total amount that we will be getting is $561,485 between years of 2022 and 2038. Our first payment will be just over $60,000, and we should see it in probably early this summer. I really want to thank, first of all, the Attorney General for bringing this suit initially so long ago nationally, but also our local council, Peter and Tucker Merrigan of Sweeney Merrigan. Some may know them from Greenfield, but they also practice in Boston. They were our local council and really led the charge for cities like Easthampton to get money directly to focus on 4 things: harm reduction, treatment, prevention, and recovery around this epidemic. So we had, I joined the lawsuit in 2018. I can't remember the day we signed on, but it, because of the AG and because of Attorney Merrigan's, the city now has a stable, at least, revenue stream to support something that has devastated our community and so many around ours. So I wanted to share that out. And that concludes President Gomez.
Thank you. Any councilor have any questions for the mayor? Seeing none, I do have one, Madam Mayor. Is the money have any restrictions?
I'm sure it will. I know general restrictions will be it needs to go directly to harm reduction, treatment, prevention, and recovery, but we haven't gotten the fine print of what the restriction will be. We also don't know how we'll exactly treat the money, like how it comes in. Is it a stabilization, subject to appropriation? We don't have those details. The settlement was just announced, but I expect to. I'm expecting documentation that we've accepted it and those conditions to come soon, and then start a public conversation about what's going on in our city around these 4 areas and where best placed and go from there and set up some services. I should mention also this money will not be the only money to address the opioid epidemic and the resulting harm. There's a statewide fund that will have the same definition of how the money is used, that we will have opportunity to apply for or work with other communities in partnership on top of the money that goes directly to us. So I think we all, I can agree that having direct money to a city for their unique challenges that they face, it's extremely, extremely helpful. No city is like another, and Easthampton's issues around this and challenges and support that our residents need are very singular to Easthampton. So to have the funds and know it's coming for 20 years is very heartening.
Thank you. Councilor Sarek?
Mayor, I had a couple people reach out to me recently. I wonder if you can give us an update on the Honeywell contract that we recently discussed, if there's been any movement on that.
Yeah, so we've been in negotiations with Honeywell to phase the project given the potential of solar grants and money rather than the city bonding. So we're just about to, we sent off a new set of documents to the state today. And we'll get feedback from them as part of the program, as well as starting the first part of it will still, as it always was, is the HVAC the HVAC improvements in 50 Payson and 32 Payson. And we'll look at solar down the road. I mean, the bipartisan infrastructure bill is supposed to have a lot of dollars for that. And we would want to see what the restrictions or how we best can apply that money to the second half of the project, which is considered shovel ready because we have so much detail.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Correspondence announcements for the President and the Vice President Communications. Do you have any? I do have one. I just want to say thank you to Jennifer Galan that she served as a treasurer in our city. And we have a new intern treasurer. His name is Michael Owen, and he will be serving as an intern treasurer until we hire a new one. So feel free to contact him and welcome him in that position. Report of Standing Committee. Finance, Councilor Rist.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Finance Committee will meet next week on the 13th at 5 o'clock. It will still be a remote meeting, and I believe we're still using Zoom for that meeting. At that time, we'll discuss the single item that will be coming on new business and council salaries for the next term. I know some councilors wanted to address that, so I'm telling you now that's what we're going to discuss at the Finance Committee meeting on the 13th. I also need to make a motion to add 90 days to the charter required review for elected officials, boards, and committee stipends date. So I'd like to add 90 days to that in the form of a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to extend 90-day for a 90-day extension for the charter required review of elected officials, boards, and committee stipends. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Barbara?
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
J.P. Kaczynski.
That was an aye.
Tom Peake.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Connie Denham. Aye.
Motion passes. Councilor Rist?
I'm sorry, that concludes, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Rist. Public Safety, Councilor Saret.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we met recently, let me just check the date, March 24th, to discuss primarily the request to use electric speed monitoring signs in the city. We met with the chief of police and at least obtain preliminary consensus about the utilization of these signs. We now need to look into where these would be best deployed. The police department will be gathering data from some of their mobile signs and help determine where there are areas of heavy speeding in the city, as well as just from a practical standpoint based on their observations where there might be some of the best use of these signs. So that's the next discussion. There's a lot more to talk about on the subject. We did not meet recently due to some technical difficulties. So the quarterly review with the DPW will be on May, let me just give you that date, May 3rd, which is the first Tuesday in May at 6 p.m. And I'm going to try to arrange another meeting sometime this month of April to discuss a few other items, which will include the ordinance committee's final report. And there's an item of new business that if it gets moved, we'll review it then as well.
Thank you, Councilor. Sorry, just for the public, May 3rd is going to be in this building, the meeting. Appointments, Councilor Rothschild.
Thank you. So we met last Wednesday, which I believe was March 30th. We had 2 appointments before us. One of them, Robert Wild, withdrew his application, so we voted 3-0 to not recommend him to be appointed. So first, I'd like to do a vote for that.
Councilor Rothschild, just for clarifications for the public, we are making that action because if we don't make any action in 45 days, that person is going to be appointed.
Exactly. So as Councilor Gomez just referenced, Robert Wild had applied to be on the Commission on Disability with a term expiration 12/31/2022. However, decided that for whatever reason he couldn't serve on this commission, so asked that he withdraw his application. If we don't vote him down, then he will be automatically just go on to the commission in 45 days, and he doesn't want to be on the commission. So, and therefore, I'd like to recommend that we reject his confirmation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to reject the confirmation.
Robert Wild.
Robert Wild.
To the Commission on Disability with a term expiration 12/31/2022.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Barbara?
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
J.P. Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Connie Denham. Aye. Salem Derby.
Aye.
Motion passes. Councilor Rothschild?
Okay, and so our other appointment is yet another one for the Veterans Council, so we're filling that up with new people. His name is Richard Ritchie. I had a nice conversation with him. He served in the Army and in the Air Force. He was also a career teacher in Springfield, a science teacher. He's lived in Easthampton since 1973. I remember that because it's an important year to me. Anyway, you can guess by looking at me. And he had 2 kids that went to school in Easthampton schools, and he served as a softball coach at one time. So anyway, he's looking forward to giving back to the communities, and we recommended his nomination 3-0, his confirmation to the Veterans Council with a term expiration 12/31/2024. So I'm making that motion that we confirm him.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the appointment of the Richard Ritchie for the Veteran Council. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Barbara?
J.P. Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Connie Denham. Aye. Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye. Motion passes.
And we have no appointments, I don't think, on this agenda, so we don't have any other meetings set at this time, and thus concludes.
Thank you, Councilor Rothschild. Ordinance, Councilor Derby.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ordinance met on March 29th, and we were able to come to resolution on a couple of different items. But first, a little housekeeping. I would like to, in the form of a motion, extend the Ordinance Review Committee's final report item on our agenda for 90 days, please.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to extend that item for 90-day extension. Any further discussion? Seeing none. Barbara?
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Connie Denham.
Aye.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
J.P. Kaczynski.
Aye.
Motion passes. Councilor Derby?
Thank you, Mr. President. We also, at our 29th meeting, we were able to look at the request to amend the pay plan by adding a position of executive assistant to the mayor, which at this time I would like to set a public hearing for on April 20th at 6:15 p.m. in these chambers.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to set a public hearing for April 20th at 6:15 for the new position. Any further discussion? Councilor Rist?
I just wanted to know if there have been any amendments to the existing, what the mayor put forward in this.
We did not.
So what we got is what we're going to get. Thank you.
Barbara?
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Connie Denham. Aye. Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez. JP Kaczynski. Tom Peak.
Aye.
Motion passes. Councilor Derby.
Thank you, Mr. President. We also finished up a joint public hearing with the Planning Board where we positively put forward the Smart Growth District and Planned Residential Developments. We're still awaiting a little bit of language for the state, but I am at this time going to set a public hearing for May 4th at 6:15 in these chambers.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to set a public hearing for May 4th at 6:15 for the affordable housing in Smart Growth District and Planned Residential Development. Any further discussion?
We also have to extend the deadline by 4 days to make that.
Oh, interesting.
Let's
That might be a different.
let's vote
Let's vote
this one
first.
first and then we can vote.
Yeah.
Barbara.
Dan Rist. Lindsay Rothschild.
Aye.
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Connie Denham. Aye. Salem Derby. Omar Gomez. JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you to catch that. Councilor Derby.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to extend by 4 days the Affordable Housing and Smart Growth District and Planned Residential Developments in the form of motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to extend it for 4 days. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara.
Lindsay Rothschild. Yes. Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Connie Denham. Aye. Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski. Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Motion passes.
And our next meeting is going to be April 11th, which is a Monday, so that's a little bit different, at 6 p.m. And we'll be here.
Thank you. Does conclude?
Barbara said there should be a room for us.
We'll try.
Okay.
If not,
We're going to try.
there's,
Oh, I'm sorry.
We can have that conversation
it's a
after.
busy night, so
Yeah.
I can't.
And if we can't get...
It's
if
not
we
part of the
can't
agenda, so
secure-
we shouldn't talk
Maybe
about
back
that.
here.
Yeah, perfect. So April 11th, 6 p.m.
Somewhere.
Does conclude?
That's concluded.
Thank you, Councilor Derby. Rules and Government Relations, Councilor Rist.
Yeah, that's the night of the skate park.
We can talk about that after.
Yes, first I want to apologize to the members of the Rules Government Relations Committee and to Councilor Zaret in my attempts to find a date that makes it personal for me, that neglected to realize that there are a lot of people that liked April 14th and it would be difficult to change it. So I am going to have a meeting on April 14th at 5 o'clock, and it will be a Zoom meeting.
5 o'clock?
5 o'clock. And that will deal with the two resolutions, one of which will be coming our way this evening under new business, and that concludes.
Thank you, Councilor Rist. Ad hoc committee, we have the senior tax work-off. Councilor Kaczynski, you have anything?
Just wanted to say that the report will be in full at the meeting for April 20th.
Thank
This conclude.
Thank you. We already do all business, new business. Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have a resolution in support of municipal aggregation for the city of Easthampton. I would like to, in the form of a motion, send that to the Rules and Governmental Relations Committee.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to move the resolution in support of the municipal aggregations for the city of Easthampton to the Rules Committee. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara?
Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Connie Denham. Aye. Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez. JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild.
Motion passes. Mr. Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. President. We also have a discussion of Narcan boxes in the city of Easthampton, and in the form of a motion, I'd like to move that to public safety.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to move the discussion of Narcan boxes in the city of Easthampton to the Public Safety Committee. Any further discussion? Councilor Rothschild.
I just have a question. And this is a legislative city council question. Is this something that we bring if there's no legislative action to be taken? Like, do we just bring discussions to committees? I'm just curious. Is this the work of the city council? I'm just curious.
Councilor Rist.
We have quite often dealt with these kinds of resolutions. Personally, I love it when they do refer to legislative action at the state level.
Councilor Riss,
We have
this is not a
This isn't a resolution.
The Narcan.
It's just a discussion.
My apologies.
I support the idea. I just don't know if that's what we do in city council.
I therefore have no comment. I thought it was a resolution. My apologies.
Councilor Derby.
I think, I think that historically we have brought things for discussion if we thought that they were going to result in some sort of a city council action. As an example, ordinance recently met with the EDIC
Yeah.
for discussion. And so that's how it was presented on the agenda. I think that I'll let.
Yeah, I'm just curious what action.
I can clarify it for the counselor.
Yeah, thank you.
Councilor Sarek.
So the issue here is open meeting law, and so this is an item that pertains to public safety, and in order to review this with the Public Safety Committee, we can't have that discussion unless it's an item on the agenda. So the individuals involved can certainly come to public speak, but they can't be asked questions from the members of the committee. It is an item that involves public safety and the members thereof. We'd be looking for input as well. This is a program, I don't want to get too much into discussing the actual item, but
Councilor Sarek, are we in this program right now? Do we have it in our city?
it is coming to the city, and that's the purpose
It
of
is
it.
coming or is in our city? Because my understanding is that we have it in our city already.
Well, there is a working group that's been having discussions, and the intent is to present this to public safety so they can ask questions of the other people involved as well as give input. I can't discuss the matter too much because it's not in committee yet.
Any other councilors have any?
Just a point of order. I mean, what's the relevance for why we can't do that? What's the objection?
Councilor Rist, you are the parliamentarian.
I have no objection. In fact, Councilor Derby's comment is right on point. For instance, we have the Main and South Street issue on the public safety's agenda, and that has no legislative action. It is to probably end up with a resolution or some action which we're going to ask the mayor to put forward. So we have done these, and Councilor Zaret is correct. It is very appropriate not to discuss things that's not on an agenda in a committee level or in this level. So it is better for us, if we want to put something on a committee level to discuss it, that we put it into the agenda. And I agree with Councilor Derby and Councilor Zaret's action. I think it's worthwhile to allow people who want to present themselves, and at public speak, they can present, but there's no back and forth. So.
Yeah, and I think that in a way we do a similar thing in finance where we have times where people just report to us about things and we can ask questions about them. There's not something before us. I think the one time, because we've had some debate about this and how it pertains to our rules in the past, and I think that the one thing I think is if there was a point where like an ordinance or some sort of council action were to come out of this, that would probably the most, I don't know about rules-wise, but in my opinion, the most appropriate thing would be for that to be separately submitted, because at the moment where we're not asking questions of people, we are actually deliberating upon legislation. The public deserves to be notified of that fact, I think. But I think there are times where it's difficult to even start to formulate those sort of policy responses until you're actually able to discuss these things with people. So that's sort of, I know we've had these debates back and forth over the years, and I don't, that's sort of where I've landed. That's just maybe my perspective.
Barbara? Just take the vote.
Oh, sorry. Connie Denham. What are we voting on? Sorry.
We are voting to move the
Okay, yes, aye. Salem Derby. Omar Gomez. J.P. Kaczynski. Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild. Owen Zaret.
Yes.
Motion passes. Councilor Derby.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this point, I will turn it over to the Chair of Finance, Councilor Rist.
We have interdepartmental transfer. This is a first reading. The amount requested is $15,250 to be transferred from account 5317, $15,250 to be transferred to 3 different accounts for the Police Academy tuition, uniforms, and supplies. The amounts are $4,500, $3,000, and $7,750 to provide funding for the Police Academy tuition, uniforms, supplies, and gear for Officer Abigail Lukasik, who will attend in June. Funds to cover the cost of public safety supplies and ammunition.
Second.
We have,
Excuse me. I did not make the motion. I will move to send this to Finance Committee for review, as well as set a public hearing for April 20th.
Second.
we have a motion and a second to send to the Finance Committee and schedule a public hearing for April 20th at 6:15 and to move $15,250 for the Police Academy expenses, police safety supplies, and ammunition. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Barbara.
Salem Derby.
Aye.
Omar Gomez. JP Kaczynski.
Aye.
Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist. Lindsay Rothschild. Zarrett.
Yes.
Connie Denham.
Motion passes. Look like we are done with all the new business and old businesses. So we'll take a motion to adjourn. We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Barbara.
Omar Gomez.
Aye.
JP Kaczynski. Tom Peak.
Aye.
Brad Riley.
Aye.
Dan Rist.
Aye.
Lindsay Rothschild. Owen Zarrett.
Yes.
Connie Denham. Aye. Salem Derby.
Aye.
Will anybody move?
Motion passes. Can you guys please stay here until we sign everything?
Yeah.
Thank you.
We have to sign stuff.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.